Welcome back to Cryptopia, where we go over the wet and wild happening in NFT land. Don't forget to like and subscribe on your way in today. 9Tales, the play to earn NFT card game. So came across this very recently. Forget how actually, but regardless, the game looks pretty cool. And for anybody who's interested in this kind of card game stuff and into NFTs, I think this is a great project to be keeping your eye on. It's not going to be fully released until around Q4, and even then I think it's only going to be in its beta stage in Q4, but you know, by then they do say that it'll be a fully functioning game and they're just going to be kind of working out the bugs about it at that point. So like I said, it's a card game. You can take a look at some of the cards and the art kind of right here. Looks pretty cool. Looks like a card game. And so they're having this kind of new structure, and we're going to go over it, of course, but they sort of have like a simultaneous battle system that they've created where both you and your opponent will be kind of duking it out at the same time with spells, with card effects. So it's going to create a pretty dynamic game, and it's going to have a lot of strategy behind it, and you're going to have to be kind of on your toes because it's not going to be this typical all the time turn-based where like, okay, I go do my thing, you go do your thing. It's kind of going to be a clash that's going to be happening simultaneously to make it fast, exciting, and kind of bringing something new to the whole card game genre. So we can take a look at their roadmap. There's really nothing much here. They just talk about the little stuff that they're doing. They're still bringing the trailer. The trailer's not here yet. Trailer's coming soon. Yeah, and that's pretty much all it is. Alpha version starts, etc., etc. Like open beta will be fully functional, a P2E, and this will be in Q4 of this year. So you can expect that probably the full game will be out. It'll be hopefully in the beginning half of 2023. And here's the team. It's a pretty big team. They got about, I think, 15 people in their team, but they each have their own individual, like, obviously their own individual role and their own backgrounds and what they've done. I'm going to go over the entire team in the later half of this video, backed by some of these bigger names. I'm sure you haven't heard of the middle one here. So, you know, it's not to say that these guys are just nobodies necessarily. They've been able to contact Microsoft and, you know, have the trust of Microsoft to get the job done. So on top of the lore and everything else, let's take a quick look at their combat system and see how it works. So in our first 1v1 mode, the combat system is one of the most important and unique parts of their game. Generally in card games, as I've said, the combat is, you know, turn-based. They're trying a little bit something different. Here's what their game board looks like. They're still not completely done with this, I believe. I think it says here that they're still kind of in their finalizing stage of the game board, but this gives you a rough idea. So the game board, without any design elements, we see that there are multiple zones: a play zone, a battle zone, and a cemetery for your dead cards, right? So the simultaneous combat was one of the things that I thought was really cool about this. Each player, as you're playing, draws a card at the beginning of each match. You can play cards from your hand, alternating with your opponent. Once this is done, there is a battle phase. This is what we like to focus on. Okay, so simultaneous combat. By taking a look at the battle zone, we notice that there are 4 sub zones, as you can see, you know, those 4. The attacking zones and the defensive zone. At the beginning of combat, both players choose their attackers. In order to do so, they can move active players from their play zone to their attack zone. Each player can have a maximum of 8 active cards in his play zone, and up to 4 cards can attack on each turn. Once both players have chosen their attackers, the cards are revealed. At this point, both players can choose their defenders. Each attacker can be faced by at most 1 defender. So you fill up these zones, you fill up your attack zones with you know, your 4 cards that you can have from your out of your 8 from your play zone, and you duke it out. Once you reveal these cards, I guess they'll be face down, face them up. You can put in your defense cards. You can see what your opponent has and sort of create your defense around that. And then from there, it's basically, you know, it's not free for all, but you guys are duking it out. You know, it's not like you go. These are done in phases. So the play phase and then your kind of battling phase, and you duke it out simultaneously. They don't mention it here. Well, they do mention it, but they don't show them here because they're kind of keeping it simple. But they do have spell cards. And so that's going to create a different dynamic in the middle of having simultaneous attacks. You'll also be able to duke out spell cards at the same time. Plus, your cards will have their own individual effects that will also play a role. All this being said, from my understanding, the way some of these cards work is via some sort of point system. So you have like action turns, and every turn you gain a point. I think that's like a Hearthstone kind of idea as well. I think you gain like I haven't played Hearthstone in so long, and you get like a little like crystal or something like that each turn, and then you can use that to do certain things. I'm butchering that. I can't remember the game at all. But the idea here is that each turn you get like an action point, we'll say, and then you can use that point to perform some sort of major action. And each time, depending on the card you're playing, might require more actions. Depending on some certain cards require action. I do think that it's not always action though. There's also cards will also need to be, you kind of have to sacrifice something for maybe more powerful cards that isn't necessarily action, maybe a bit of action and maybe a bit of, another card, a spell card or what have you, in order to get this done. So the combat system seems pretty cool to me. So strategies consideration, the new combat system allows players to make important strategic choices. Since both players will have to choose their attackers at the same time, there's a simple but primordial question that is asked: should I attack with all my strength or keep some cards for defense? The answer to this question is that will determine great players. It is an answer that forces you to get into the mind of your opponent. Will he decide to attack or will he defend? 2, does my opponent think that I will give everything this turn? A large part of the game will be decided by how well you can anticipate your opponent's moves. I mean, that's how most games are played, but I think this is pretty cool. And the combat system is definitely something that isn't done a lot. I'm trying to think of anything else that kind of has a similar structure to it. And I can't really think of it, but I don't play too many card games. So maybe there is one out there that I just can't think of right now. But I like the idea behind that. I think that's really freaking dope. So the next thing I kind of want to go over is the Coliseum. So I didn't know this was a huge problem, but it does make a little bit of sense that there's this kind of issue going on in the P2E games so far. And I'm not talking Axie Infinity's giant hacking. No, there's like this other problem about sustainability within the P2E games that they have. Most people are focused primarily on using it like a job and kind of milking money out of it and not really putting too much into it. So it kind of throws off the balance of the economy, from my brief understanding about it. So these guys have a couple ways that they're trying to combat that idea. One of them is the Coliseum. So compete to earn a new gaming paradigm. P2E have been driving the force of crypto gaming. Being able to earn money while playing a game, a fun game, is something only pro players used to be able to dream of. However, it's become clear by the day that this model is unsustainable. So the main problems with the P2E model is the money won in the game is too often not reinvested into it. Like I said, people treat it like a real job, and therefore they just take, and then spend it on, surviving. Because that's, if they're treating it like a job, that's what you do. You go to work, you get paid, you spend it on your bills. So the money stops flowing in, but keeps bleeding out of the game through that kind of primitive structure, right? So they've got a new idea. Some would even compare the P2E model to a pyramid scheme. Okay, we're not going to go into that. Introducing compete to earn. Excuse me. So how can we make the fabulous idea of P2E sustainable in the long term? This is the question that pushed us to imagine a new parallel system. In the compete to earn system, players have to use some of their game assets as a fee to enter into different game modes. By paying this fee, they get into a competition with other players. The winner gets to take the most loot, and part of the fee is taken and then retained by the game and used as a reward for the play to earn players. That's a great idea, I would say. It's kind of like a tax, I guess. It's a fee, but it's sort of like the game gets to take a little bit of share from that, and then you get to participate in these big tournaments. that, can, or these bigger loot tournaments that, can win you a lot of money or lose you some significant amount of money. But regardless, I guess it's better than simply leaving it to the dust and sort of just waiting for the world to sort of crumble because it doesn't have any money in it. So it's a good idea to try and kind of, step forward with this before it even becomes an issue. So these parallel game modes are not, so the fee will be, I don't think I've mentioned it, in NIT, which is their native token. So these parallel game modes are not obligatory. A player can be purely playing to earn or competing to earn. He can also mix both. I'm sure they would love the mix of both so they can get more money flowing in, using the reward he gets from the play to earn game modes in order to compete in competitive modes. By using this system, we ensure that a portion of the money is injected into the game, and in its turns ensures the longevity of the game overall. Great idea. Obviously, tournaments was probably going to be a thing, but being able to use the tournament to sort of keep the money flowing in is going to be great for the game in the long run. They got a pretty rich lore. There's like 9 different races: humans, orcs, the elves, the djinn, the elements, the Maltus, the beastmen, the old ones, and the angels. And each of them have their own culture, history, politics, and struggle. Through the 9Tales card game is how they plan to explore these, complicated histories and cultures of these individual races and tell you the story through gameplay where you'll be facing off against AIs and basically acquiring the story along the way. And you get to know, some of their most iconic heroes like in their battles and carefully decide what race will lead you to victory. Obviously, they have different game modes for, whatever kind of play style you're looking for. They've got your ranked stuff, your basic ranked ELO system with different ranks. Players win more or less of their native token, the NITs, based on their rank. Higher the rank, the higher the rewards per win. That goes without saying. There's the adventure mode, a mode where we tell the story, which is what we were talking about just a while ago. The Coliseum one, which we've gone over. This is the compete to earn paradigm. One of which they are trying to use to combat some of the unsustainability of the current pay-to-E model. Then there's the last man standing. In this game mode, a large number of players enter a battle royale style tournament. Players are randomly matched against each other, and each player keeps playing until he loses 3 matches. The player with the most wins gets the bag. I think it's something I forgot to mention in the Coliseum. It's not written there, but essentially, oh yes, it is. So you draft a deck from different. So I believe there are 9 people who come into this game mode. You shuffle your decks together, and then you basically pick a card. And then I think that it presents you like a hand, essentially. You pick one card from that, and then the next person picks a hand from that. And then it keeps going around until you've completed a new deck made up of other people's cards and your own. And then you do battle in the Coliseum, making it a little bit more complicated, a little bit more interesting, a little bit more fun, right? So just a brief note on kind of how they plan to release their sets and expansions throughout the year and the years to come. So they say they plan on making 2 sets a year. Each set will come with new cards, new mechanics, new races, and new game modes. Each set will be divided into 3 expansions, the first and the largest one with around 100 cards, then the 2 smaller expansions with around 40 cards each. The first set will be launched with the open beta of the game and will be called Humans versus Orcs. So the goal of this is just to keep things fresh, fun, and keep changing things around so the people don't get bored. Obviously, that's a good idea and a good model to have. So we're going to take a look at the mythology of the cards, just sort of how the cards are broken down. So, here's your basic card, right? You got these numbers here. The first one, this is the budget that the card will cost you in your deck. So what this basically means is that your deck has a number. I forget what the number is out of, but essentially as you add cards, it sort of accumulates to a certain point. This is sort of how they stop you from, you kind of have to balance your deck out with both strong and weak cards. Because you can't have, you can't mount it up with just nothing but super strong cards, and then it just sort of, it's too beefy. They want to have a balance of like weaker to stronger cards and how you can kind of benefit with the weaker cards. I imagine some of the weaker cards probably have some pretty cool effects. They just aren't strong physically, for lack of a better word. And then so this is the card's attack. This is how much damage it will deal in combat. And then this is the card's health, how much damage it can take before it dies. And then this is a temporary placeholder. In the future, we'll probably use it to indicate some sort of expansion. They don't know what this is for yet, but eventually it will be. So keywords indicate a special ability. A card can have multiple keywords. Today, my quest ends and begins my conquest. This text is either a special ability or a flavor text. This card only has a flavor text, so just something cool that is being said there. And that's it. So the color of the border indicates the race of the card. Here, gray is for humans, but again, colors will probably change in the future. So anyways, that's sort of the all the information there. Here's your name. Here's how much it costs you, how powerful he is, how weak in defense he is, though he is a pathetic weak human and will not last very long. They don't know what this is going to be yet, so we'll have to wait and find out about that. So anti-pay to win. So essentially what happens, another thing that happens in PvE games is that the richer players tend to be the better players, right? They can dump a ton of money into it and get the best cards and the best gear and the best whatever, and it sort of becomes unfun for anybody who's not, dumping tons of money into it. And even then, it's probably not as fun for those guys either. It's only fun because they get to dunk on the people who are poorer than them. So they have another way of tackling this as well. They say, here is the spell card root, and you can notice there is a small charges in the bottom of the card's description, which is like that stuff, the bottom there, right? So these represent the card's level. Now the card, see what you were thinking, card levels, another pay to win game where you have to level up your cards to make them stronger. Actually, the level of a card has nothing to do with its strength. Rather, whether a card is level 0 or 9, the card's strength, its text, and all its in-game characteristics will remain the same. The only thing that changes is the reward. Your deck has a total value called fortune. The fortune of your deck is computed using the levels of all your cards in your deck. The total fortune of your deck is what determines how much pay to earn reward you will get upon winning. However, each card has only a finite amount of energy. The energy of a card determines how many games it will add fortune to your deck in a 24-hour period. In other words, you cannot spam the same spell cards all day long and expect to keep gaining rewards. You have to master different decks and cards if you want to get the most of your play to earn experience. This also ensures that the meta of the game will always stay diverse. How to level up cards. So that's a cool little idea, right? So you can overuse a card to the point where it's basically useless in terms of rewards that day. So you can still use the card no matter what. It's just like that particular reward coming from that card until the next 24-hour cycle will virtually be very diminished or nothing at all. Now, I hope, and they probably thought about this, but because I know you can have multiple of the same cards in your in your inventory, right? So I shouldn't be able to swap out my roots card for one of my other roots card and have the same thing. Essentially, they should still all, carry the same charge. Whenever I use one roots card, it domino affects every root card that I have. That's what I ideally would hope that they would do. And I'm pretty sure they did. They're smart guys. They definitely did something like that for sure. So you can go and purchase these right now on OpenSea. So I believe this is their first launch. This is the Genesis stuff that they released. They have like a 3-phase release plan. The first one was released in December 2021, and then they've got a couple like phases 2 and 3 to be released for a grand total of 9,999 NFTs. So you can already go ahead, take a look. Current floor price is 0.8 at the time of making this video. It actually started off, well, their original launch was supposed to be 0.005. So, they've risen, if that's, so let's see. Yeah, went all the way down here. It's like, so yeah, popped out, went all the way down here to like 0.04. And then sort of came back up, and then Now it's slowly, you know, getting its way back up there. So, you know, you can go check this out right now. You can wait or not. I think there are still whitelist spots open again for the future phases that are coming. Forgot to mention this part as well. There are some benefits to having the NFT early as opposed to waiting. So we can see here, well, I'm gonna go back up. You know, there's like a few benefits of holding the 9Tales NFT. So potential to win a primordial NFT, of which there are only 50 unique NFTs that provide the highest utility in the game. Free entry to weekly tournaments with thousands of dollars in pool prizes. They do have some crazy tournaments aside from the Coliseum one. They do have other like crazier tournaments that are worth way more money. Tons of airdrops, including chests and tokens. Ooh, they don't really mention too much about the chests, but you can imagine that they do contain some items in there that would be most likely spells that would be very useful for you in the future. And then obviously you can get some of their native token that can be used to either, you know, take that shit off and convert it to you know, something else that you can use, some sort of stable coin or whatever, and an in-game earning boost so you can make the most of your playing time. So make sure you secure your Genesis NFT on OpenSea and get ready for phase 1. Also, remember that there is a finite amount of rewards. Do I mention that yet? I think I've gotten to that point in this video. There's a finite amount of rewards you can get from an NFT or from the cards that you play. Basically, you can't play them forever, right? Eventually, they will run out of the rewards that you get, and you'll have to wait 24 hours for it to reset, and then you can use it again. So, you know, I think this is kind of what they're talking about, how the boost can make, you know, most of your playing time, maybe extend that a little bit longer for you. Don't quote me on that one, though. All right, guys, back to the video. There I am. So you can try and get on board with those. If you're interested in this, I suggest doing so. Next, I'm going to go over the people behind this project and what they're doing. I think I've essentially covered most of sort of the essential stuff going on in this project. I mean, obviously do your own research after this video, but let's take a look at the people who are behind this shenanigan. So the team of 9Tales. So we'll start off here with this guy, the creator. I'm not going to say any of these guys' names. They have a lot of Middle Eastern names, and I will definitely butcher them. They've got this stupid timer thing where they scroll through, which I hate so much. But anyways, doesn't matter. So here's a creator. Here's his Instagram. Or sorry, it's not his Instagram. Here's his Twitter. And taking a look. So he graduated in like 2020 and also like 2017. He's got, you know, he's a PhD student. He's got, you know, in mathematics and statistics and probability. He's got some diplomas in mathematics and computer science. You know, he's currently a postdoctorate. He's still a postdoctorate researcher working. So, you know, smart guy. Spent a lot of time doing some school stuff. You know, working as a teacher's assistant and whatnot. Not necessarily, I guess, a ton of experience, just kind of working, but, you know, spending your time doing your PhD takes a long time. A ton of these guys on here have PhDs, so they're all smart dudes, for sure. How much experience they have to sort of developing a full game, that's the only thing. But I mean, obviously they have Microsoft on their side, so clearly somebody took a look at them and was like, all right, you know, these guys probably will know what they're doing. And especially this was the creator, who has a Twitch, by the way. So he's not, you know, he's a gamer dude himself. And you can kind of see, and here's his Instagram. I don't know what he's saying because he's not speaking English in any of these videos. Not really sure what he's talking about here. Do not follow your dreams, though. I know that's what he's talking about in this one. What's this guy saying here? Kind of true, but when you don't have your dreams between your eyes, is the safety net becomes your life, and it's a bullshit life without dreams and failure success. Yeah, I don't know what he's saying here. I can already imagine that he's basically saying that if you dump everything into your life just to follow your dreams, it's, you know, most people's, like, you know, especially if you're chasing, if you're an artist, for example, a lot of people chasing fame, fortune, you know, obviously to tell their art, but a lot of people fail. A lot more people fail in the art world than succeed in the art world. So, sometimes if you give up everything for your dream, it doesn't always end well. Anyways,
سنة 2000.
And then he also has a YouTube channel with 118K. So, this guy he's got a lot of, he's doing a lot of stuff. He's doing a lot of stuff. And he seems like a genuine dude. Passionate about what he does, passionate about education, smart guy. So if he's leading the charge, it's not a bad idea. So next we have the head of game design, which I thought was really weird. It doesn't have, at least on this. So they link this stuff in their website. So I imagine this is the most up-to-date information. Otherwise, why have it available for me to read? So he's a co-founder. Assuming that says co-founder. Yeah, he's a co-founder of 9Tales as well. And he's working, and he doesn't have a lot of, I guess, game design experience in what he does. I think he's a PhD student too, or maybe not. Oh no, he's a research master in applied mathematics, engineering degree, data and decision science, applied mathematics. Both, again, another smart, really smart guy, but no experience doing in game design. This stage data science place, right? It's like some kind of bank, some sort of banking system that they have with this going on with this particular company. Again, nothing to really do with game design, so it's strange that he would even want to get involved in that. To me, it looks like a perfect game because whoever reads minds will also see into the future. Okay, that was a comment. Oh, that's a comment on something else. But anyways, another smart dude, but again, their experience is always a little bit less. They always seem to graduate young in these projects. And you kind of have to take that for what it is. Now, I love these guys because whenever they bring up the artists are always like the best because they always have really good work. I think this guy's worked with Riot Games in the past, and you can see kind of all the concept art and work that he's done here. And he's just a cool artist, clearly good at what he does. So I mean, he's behind some of the artists. Him and there's another person. He's the concept artist. Oh, where is it? Stupid thing. So he's a lead artist. There's also another artist along the way as well. And, both him and them have great work. And obviously, if he's leading the charge, working with Riot Games, you can see the work he's done. They're going to have, and you've already seen some of the cards, they're probably going to look even cooler in the rarer, more fancy versions. In fact, I hope they do this because we've seen, well, obviously, you're working in NFTs, you can make 3D stuff, holographic looking, just some crazy looking NFTs because you can make it like animated and whatnot. I would love to see these bigger, rarer cards, which I don't think they've shown any of them yet, maybe even moving within the card itself, right? Holographic, like shining, moving, lightning. You can do some crazy stuff. Like they already want to advance it into some different style of combat system. You might as well add in the extra nuance that is the NFT 3D animated projects that people have been making recently. So do that with this, and I think they're probably going to, but I think it'd be a huge loss if they did not do that. Anyways, moving on. So this is the head of this is their dev. He's the main dev of 9Tales NFT. Not really much is known about him at all. There really is just a couple photos here. And, kind of a Twitter that doesn't really say too much. He's just a crypto enthusiast and an adrenaline seeker. Strange that he's an adrenaline seeker. I don't know if being a dev is the most like adrenaline inducing position in the world. You could have been like a skydiver. That might have been a thing, but that'd also probably get boring anyways. But yeah, there's not much known about him. Not much to explore there. Next, there's the advisor. I'm not really going to do too much into him. He has his own like watch company. As you can see here, I mean, like successful dude, rich dude. It's got Ryan Gosling with his watch. Big into NFTs, as you can see right here. He's got a Clone X. So that's pretty much it. I mean, he's big into it, and he himself is, an accomplished entrepreneur, you could say. So safe bet to rely on this guy as your advisor. Then there's also this dude over here. He's the marketing lead. Clearly that name's on him. So I'll have to see how the marketing plays out overall. So next there's Sebastian, who's part of the digital marketing side, and I like him. He's a big social media dude. You know, Google ads, Facebook ad, Instagram ads. And the reason I like him is just that he's been working in digital marketing for a significant amount of time. Right. You see all of his experiences here. Being a CEO, traffic manager, SEM account manager, digital marketing executive. So, he is doing what he does, and they hired him to do that. I'm going to skip the community manager. There's these two game developers. I believe he's got significantly more experience than the first one. There's here. So this guy is the founder and CEO of this Gamox.ma. This doesn't really lead. I don't think he hasn't fully finished this yet. He's sort of in the process of making this. See, there's really nothing to click on or to do. So this is still in the process of being done. So he's dabbling in some new stuff. He's got a full stack. He's been a full stack engineer for like 3 years, project manager. So a full stack development and intern. He's worked and is working in the space and also developing his own stuff, at least in the coding programming section of it. I guess dabbling right now with the gaming aspect, because I believe that is his title in here, is that he's a game developer. And then there's the other guy who's also a game developer, who I believe has more work behind him. He's also been a full stack developer, intern, software developer. Where was it? I know I saw it somewhere. He's got he did like a 3D certification course, but he's got like a whole thing that he's working on. Hold on. There it is. Hello there. So, indie game developer. Here's some of the projects he's worked on. You can actually kind of click on them. You can download them. You can actually start playing these and sort of experience some of the stuff he's been doing. So he does have a little bit more experience than the other dude, working on a bunch of different mini projects, I guess you could say. And sort of this is a bigger one, and probably taking up a whole bunch of his time. And then lastly, we've got he's not last, but he's kind of the last one I'm really going to be going over. He's another artist. This is the other artist I was talking about. Again, has some pretty cool art that I just think looks really dope. And I love the artists that they always pick, because, they're usually pretty easy to find, but they also have like a lot of work that they show off, and it just looks cool. There's the other stuff that I wanted to see. It's kind of steampunk looking, like boar humanoid thing. I don't even know. It's a boar charger. Whatever it is, it looks cool. I like it. Gets the imagination juices flowing. And lastly, forgot about him. Here's the full stack dev. I'm not going to go over the ambassador, really. That's the creator. So the full stack dev dude. This is his site. This is what he does. And then you can kind of scope out the projects here. Now, he's mostly in web design, mobile apps, web design is sort of what, when I look at here, because this is what he's advertising, this is most of what he does, WordPress like stuff. I'm guessing he's maybe behind their website. So the website that I'm currently on right now is maybe what he's mostly kind of tending to. So that's kind of the end of that. I hope that gave you enough information. Hope it wasn't too scattered. I tried to organize it so it kind of flowed and got through the information correctly. If you guys liked the video, like down below. Let me know what you think about it. Usually I try to keep them very short, but or what I'll do is I'll separate these videos into parts. But I think people just like if they can get all the information in one big video, rather than chunks of smaller videos. Not that I won't make updates to this as well. They'll probably be smaller as more information comes out as we get closer to the beta release. But if you guys please leave a like down below. Let me know what you thought of the video down below, and I'll see y'all next time.